ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Checkers or Wreckers podcast. I am your host, Carter Leonard, once again, and I am here to bring you guys everything news related inside the world of NASCAR. Welcome to episode 10. Wow, we are already in the 10th episode of season 1. It's kind of, I wouldn't say remarkable, but I mean it's truly been it's been quite a journey so far. We're glad that this series has been rolling the way it should be. We're gonna continue to make this bigger and better as time goes on. And if you guys are enjoying the series, make sure you guys subscribe and comment below, and always make suggestions on what we could do better with this show. Me and the whole rest of the gang are really interested to see, what you guys think about it. It's truly been an amazing journey so far. Obviously, we're not up to we're not superstars in the social media industry like, many people would assume that we are, but we definitely have our cult following so far. We have a small cult following, beginners level stuff. So that's the way I see it. But anyways, let's talk about Richmond, shall we? And also the Texas race at for the Truck Series. So let's get into the weekend recap of the show, ladies and gentlemen. As most race fans are aware, I should say, the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Cup Series made their annual trips in the spring to Richmond, and the Truck Series did run this weekend. However, they were not at Richmond. They were at Texas Motor Speedway. Very interesting place to be. I mean, this is the first time one series has been not affiliated with the other series at the other track, I should say. Makes a mumble jumble words right there for me. But so let's get into the Xfinity race. It was only a matter of time before that 16 car of Chandler Smith for Colleague Racing, for him to actually get in victory lane. First career win for Chandler Smith. What a job that he did. Chandler Smith has shown some really fast speed this year. He was fast at Auto Club, didn't get the win. He technically should be a two-time winner in Xfinity already this year. But Las Vegas, that was a whole other thing. And I remember giving Chandler a lot of shit for giving up the whole win there. But he redeemed himself just about 4 races later, and now it doesn't matter. Chandler Smith, finally, a NASCAR Xfinity Series winner. So far, Chandler has definitely came a long way in his career. When he was making his ARCA Menards Series starts in like his early to mid-teens too. Like he was like 14, 15 years old when he was making these ARCA starts and showing everybody, hey, he has the talent. We saw what he did in ARCA, and we saw what he did in the Truck Series with Kyle Busch Motorsports. And he had the potential to do well here at Colleague, and so far he's done just that. He is now an Xfinity Series winner. Definitely Chevy has another future amazing NASCAR prospect, and we have another one to talk about once we get through the race weekend recap. So, congratulations to Chandler Smith. Really solid job from him. I believe he won a stage in that race as well. I can't remember. But, congrats to Chandler Smith. He has come a long way, and I don't think we've seen the best of Chandler Smith yet, so congrats to him. Later on that day, on FS1, was the Truck Series race, and wow, he finally did it. Carson Hocevar is now officially a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner. Ew. I try to keep my biasy a little bit low on the show, but I am sorry. I have just never been that big of a Carson Hocevar fan. Not because I don't have any ill will towards Carson himself. I think Carson's a really super fantastic guy. However, it's just the fact that I think Carson is just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit overrated. Yep, you could say, oh, that's such an L opinion. You can roast me all you want. You can make your opinions about what I say. But at the end of the day, this is my show. I will say the shit that I want to say. So if you don't like it, then this ain't the podcast for you. I'm sorry. But I can't say that Carson wasn't eventually going to win a truck series race. I mean, it was there. The timing and, the bad luck was going to come to an end eventually. But, however, even with his win, there was some controversy. I swear, a lot of drivers' wins, first career wins in the truck series have all come with some controversy. Matt DiBenedetto last year when he got his first career win at Talladega. Technically, Brett Holmes won that race, but that is a story for another time. Who knows? It may be a possible video. Who knows? But going back to the truck race and why it was so controversial was, first of all, can we give a shout out to Nick Sanchez real quick? The dude was... I believe that is his... Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's actually his second career Truck Series pole because he actually won the pole at the season opener at Daytona. So, wow. Nick Sanchez led majority of the race. He sat on pole, and then he just took off from that point. Eventually, later on this week, it would be... announced that team would actually get an L2 penalty. I don't know if the penalty itself really disqualified him from the finish, so to speak. I haven't really got the full details on me, but no, Nick Sanchez, him and that Rev Racing 2 truck, which is actually backed by Kyle Busch Motorsports, by the way, they're the ones that build their trucks, was absolutely blazing fast. You could not tell me that Nick Sanchez will not win a race this year. In my opinion, I think Nick Sanchez, we haven't seen the best of him yet, but damn, we sure got a taste of it. I mean, and even with all the overtimes, Nick Sanchez led 97.7% of that race. The kid, the 21-year-old, was literally on fire. And, he led 97.7% of the race, and he's leading on the final lap. What could possibly go wrong? Well, eventually, once you have a dominant truck and you lead majority of the race, some other truck is going to get involved. That being the 38 of Zane Smith, who it was either going to come down between Sanchez or Zane Smith had the final lap wreck not happen. So what happened was that Nick Sanchez got loose by the air. He spun in the grass and looked like he saved it, but Carson Hocevar, deciding not to lift, kind of dumped the two of Nick Sanchez. Now, a lot of people were like, dude, it's the final lap. You're not going to lift. Yeah, but Carson should have had the idea where, considering Nick was that loose, one wrong bump, it was going to set off a wreck. It was bound to happen. Listen, again, my opinion, if you don't like it, get off the show, all right? But no, I was not really thrilled by the finish. I was not impressed at all. To be honest, I do consider it a Mickey Mouse win, because, let's be real, had Nick Sanchez... And had that whole wreck not happen, it was either going to be Nick Sanchez or Zane Smith winning that race. Hell, even Christian Eckes, which, can we acknowledge the season that he's having so far? What a season him and that 19 team has had. But yeah, I just didn't expect him to really. I didn't expect that wreck to happen. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah. I will say GG's to Hocevar, but I am absolutely gutted for Nick Sanchez because with that dominating performance, you cannot tell me that this kid is not going to at least win a race this year. If he does not win, if anything short of a victory for that two team is disappointing. Not saying a winless season and have multiple top fives and multiple top tens is a bad thing, but when you are consistently having that much speed, you should at least go to victory lane at least once, at least 1 point in that season. But unfortunately, it was not Nick Sanchez's day. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't really know how good he is on dirt. I mean, who knows? He may get redemption at Bristol Dirt. You never know. I mean, what a story that would be, one lap short of win, and then he wins right back the next week. That would be truly something. But anyways, that is the recap of the truck race. Now let's get into the Toyota Owners 400 for Richmond, which was the annual spring race for the NASCAR Cup Series. Kyle Larson finally gets the monkey off his back as he heads to victory lane for the first time this year. Kyle Larson, after having struggled to even sneak out a victory, he's been close many times. He was close at Vegas, close at Phoenix. Just luck didn't seem to go his way until today when he was on Lady Luck's side. So congratulations to the 5-team. And he also won on the late Ricky Hendrick's birthday. So that's a pretty good tribute considering he runs Ricky's old scheme. I know a lot of people complain a lot saying, oh my God, they need to change the HendrickCars.com scheme. It's the same thing every year. Yeah, but people, you got to understand, that scheme means a whole lot to Rick Hendrick. And if he wants to keep that scheme, if HendrickCars.com wants to keep that scheme, then let him be. If, I understand, critiquing paint schemes these days are, I mean, they were funny back then, but then again, it's just kind of redundant and repetitive. All right, dude, we get it. You don't like the scheme. It's whatever, dude. You don't have to necessarily do all that. It's just, come on now. But, yeah, that was a very emotional victory. Hearing Mike Joy get choked up on the Fox broadcast was pretty pretty emotional. So congrats to the 5 of Kyle Larson and what he's done. However, I cannot say that Kyle Larson necessarily dominated the race. He did have a fast car, but I would say probably the most dominant cars of the race were the 19 of Mark Truex Jr. and the 24 of William Byron. And on one of the late race restarts, oh boy, in my opinion, this is where the chaos of this episode comes into play. Because, guys, I cannot reassure you enough how much shit that there is to talk about right now. Because, literally, if there was one, I don't even know how to describe this Richmond race. First of all, this was the first race at Richmond with the new short track package. And actually, it wasn't that bad of a race. It was actually, there was some passing. It felt like there was a lot more going on than last year's spring race. So I can't necessarily complain about it a whole lot. It's not perfect, but it's also not bad. In my opinion, there was a lot more passing. There was a lot more maneuvering. There was a lot more everything, if you ask me. But going back to the chaos, late race restarts. Oh boy, do we love those. And this is where the memes begin. All right, so William Byron, I believe, is right around third or fourth, and it looks like that he's probably going to take the lead away from, I forgot who was in the lead at the time. I don't know if it was Larson or not. But, however, he gets bumped from behind by Christopher Bell, sending him into the outside wall. rear-ended the outside wall, I should say. Not necessarily a whole lot of rear damage to the car, but enough. But that spin was enough to take him out of contention for William Byron's possible third win of the year. Now, if he would have won that, then William Byron would have had the most dominant start to the year in his entire career. 3 wins out of the first 7 races. Now, Christopher Bell initially did not take this. He didn't initially blame it on himself. Now, of course, when we think of wrecks these days, the first person that comes to mind, and oh boy, Christopher Bell initially thought that Ross Chastain, which Ross Chastain looked low before entering turn 1. And Bell thought that he got hit from behind, which obviously I don't know why he would think that. I mean, you would obviously feel the contact from it, but then again, I am not in Christopher Bell's. I don't know Christopher Bell's thought process or what he was thinking in that. Obviously, I'm not a race car driver. I don't know instincts like that, but I swear, and he initially blamed it on the 1. And he made a tweet apology later that night saying he realized that there was a lot more room and he apologized to William Byron. But then again, where's Ross Chastain's where's his apology? Oh, not his apology. Where's your apology to Ross Chastain? Like, Christopher Bell, I like you. Don't get me wrong. I really like Christopher Bell, but come on, dude. You can't be doing the goofies like that. I swear. Like, you can't be. And, you just can't be doing that shit. Like, come on now. Like, you could clearly see that Ross Chastain did not, and I mean did not tag you from behind. Like, it is clear and evident as day. Now, why is this funny to me? And why is this funny to the NASCAR media groups? Well, or every NASCAR fan, I should say, not media groups. What am I talking about? Well, actually, some media groups found it funny. But, once again, Ross Chastain being memed. But this time, it's different. A lot of people started pulling up wrecks from the past, like saying, oh, I can't believe Ross Chastain dumped Joey Logano at Martinsville in 2015, which obviously we know the real outcome. Oh my God, I can't believe Ross Chastain dumped Carl Edwards and sent him in the air in the 2009 Aaron's 499 at Talladega. You basically get the whole idea of what the meme is all about. Everyone likes to blame, I should say apparently, everybody likes to blame Ross Chastain for something. If Ross Chastain is in a 10-mile radius, matter of fact, not even 10, a 5-mile radius of it could be some major event, they will automatically blame it on Ross Chastain. And I did see some dark memes. I'm not going to. Some of them are racing related and some of them are really tragic. I am not going to explain those on the air because I do not want to get demonetized or anything like that. So I'm going to keep that off the air. But it's really funny to me how Ross Chastain will literally get blamed for anything and everything. Like, listen, we understand. Listen, I get it. He's had his hiccups in the past. He's had his goofy moments. But at the same time, some of those, majority of the time, Ross Chastain he'll be aggressive, but he won't just flat out dump you and send you backwards into the outside wall. I mean, obviously he won't do that. Unlike some other person in the Cup Series who we will talk about later on in this episode. But, yeah. So, what I'm trying to say is that the memes are definitely really, really funny, but at the same time, they did get kind of old, as with any meme. So, I do kind of feel bad for Ross because obviously, I agree. Obviously, not everything is his fault. I mean, I'm not saying he caused the assassination of some former U.S. president. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. But you guys get the basic understanding of what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to point out. So, yeah, Ross Chastain being me, it's truly funny, but at the same time, you gotta. The internet's a dark place, so let's not make any dark memes, please. Like no 9/11, no Dale Earnhardt Sr. Death memes, no any of that, please. Like that's just completely unacceptable. Um, but yeah, that is the weekend. What is a weekend, ladies and gentlemen? REEWEND. This is the Richmond weekend recap, and it's already took a 20 minutes up of the show. So yeah, racing was short track solid. Texas had a wild finish, even though it was kind of mediocre ass racing like Texas Motor Speedway normally gives. By the way, we don't talk about IndyCar a lot on the channel a whole lot, but let me just say, if that IndyCar race, for people who follow me personally, I actually watched that race on TV, and that had to be some of the most exciting IndyCar racing that I have seen on an oval in a very long time. If this doesn't tell you that IndyCar needs a lot more ovals, then I honestly don't know what will. So, hell, I mean, if IndyCar wants Texas Motor Speedway, they can have it. They wholeheartedly can have it. I mean, it is. They could literally have it. I mean, it's just whatever at this point. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But anyways, moving on. Now, let's go back to the Richmond race for a second, and then we'll move on to, let's just say majority of this show is going to be taken up by appeals and penalty talk. So, yeah, let's get that out of the way real quick, shall we? All right, so Denny Hamlin. Yeah, I don't like mentioning his name as much as the next person, but, you got to. You have to. So, yeah. So, I'm going to go on a quick little rant of Denny Hamlin real quick. I don't want this to take up a whole lot of the show, but I will do what I please. I have never seen a bigger, and when I say bigger, I really mean bigger. I have never seen a bigger hypocrite in my life than Denny Hamlin when it comes to NASCAR. For a guy that preaches so much about racing etiquette and driver respect amongst the garage area, this man is truly a two-faced asshole. Like, and you can't, for the viewer who is currently watching this episode right now, you can literally not sit back and tell me that I'm wrong when I say that. Denny Hamlin is literally a two-faced asshole. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, what about Joey Logano? Joey Logano's in there too. But Denny Hamlin, oh, he's not too far behind. Why am I saying this exactly? Well, for a guy that, like I said, preaches a lot about racing respect amongst drivers in the garage area, he literally goes out and fucking dumps J.J. Yaley. For, I don't even know what spot it was. God forbid who knows that was. When that was. He literally just sends Denny Hamlin up to a wall. And J.J. Yaley, obviously, probably a big NASCAR bust, but I can't blame him for being upset. And you know what? If J.J. Yaley, which he isn't the type of driver to necessarily do this, but had he stayed back and possibly waited on the 11 car and probably wrecked him, I would have not been mad at him at all. I would have not been mad at JJ Elliott at all. Yes, say what you want. Oh my God, dumping drivers. It ruins the structural integrity of the sport. But at the same time, dude, you got to find a way to handle your own shit. You can't just sit back and just wait for it sometimes. You just got to handle your own shit. You know what I mean? Like Denny Hamlin, I mean, literally the biggest hypocrite. And by the way, I'm not going to assume anything, but I think ever since Denny Hamlin first first introduced his podcast called Actions Detrimental on Dirty Mo Media, I think it has gone over his head just a bit. So far, ever since this episode has came out, and I don't like to use the F-bomb a lot, but this guy's turned into a complete fucking moron. It is literally not even funny. This dude will literally say the stupidest things imaginable when it comes to any driver in the garage area. And he constantly wonders why he's so, he constantly wonders why he gets hated. Dude, shut your mouth. It is literally, and I mean, I am literally slapping my hands when I say this. It is literally the whole thought of you closing the trap in your face that you like to call a mouth. The whole thought process of that idea is literally not too hard to grasp. Oh, but according to Dennis Allen Hamlin, or whatever, or however his name is arranged, that is true. That whole concept is it's just too hard to grasp for him. Denny Hamlin has tiny brain, apparently. Oh my God. You want to preach about driving etiquette and respect, and then you literally go dump a fucking back marker it's nothing. It's just brush that aside. No! You think we're just gonna sit back and ignore it it just didn't happen? You're just gonna sit back and act like it didn't, it wasn't life just flashed before our eyes or something? No! We can't just ignore that! You're a hypocrite for saying that! Come on! Literally, I think this is the most freaked out I've ever been on this show before, but there comes a point to where enough's enough. Someone is going to junk Denny's shit this year. Someone is literally going to have, dude, I would literally not be surprised if there are a bunch of I would literally not be surprised this year if Denny completely has, no friends amongst the garage. This guy, and Denny Hamlin constantly wonders why he'll never win a title. Yeah. Once again, I try to keep my bias aside, but there are points in the show, ladies and gentlemen, where I just break out and say that enough is enough, and I have to speak the truth. This man just completely lacks focus everywhere he steps. He's too worried about making his podcast. He's too worried about doing whatever. And he expects us to take him seriously. Literally. It is so pathetic with Denny. It is literally, and I mean literally, so pathetic. I know it seems like right now that I am, beating the dead horse at this point, but, oh my God, dude. It is literally so pathetic how Denny Hamlin is when it comes to shit like that. Oh, and to make matters even worse, and let's get into the appeal and penalties part of the day, ladies and gentlemen, which I am sure will take up majority of the show. Denny Hamlin will try to appeal appeal for the people, as he would like to put it, right? Or some bullshit like that. He tried to appeal his penalty, which he got after intentionally wrecking Ross Chastain at Phoenix. Surprise, surprise! They decided to uphold the penalty. I mean, NASCAR fans, should we really even be shocked by this? I mean, the son of a bitch literally cuffed himself by saying, oh, it wasn't on purpose. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Well, thanks for telling us, motherfucker. I mean, you just cuffed yourself. And you oh my god, he is so dumb. He is literally an idiot. I am literally having a midlife crisis about Denny Hamlin on this show right now. Like, this is, oh man. I wanted this 10th episode to be special, and goddamn it is special, alright. This is the Carter and Freakout section of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Like, he literally expects. And no, ladies and gentlemen, this is not, people, this is literally not me being overdramatic. This is literally me being genuine. This, like, when you piece together all the shit that has gone on with this man so far this year, and you try to put it together in your head, it's like a puzzle piece that won't fit. It doesn't make any sense, dude. It is literally so funny how he expects. All right, hold on. Oh, I gotta breathe. Okay, I'm calm. He literally expects the penalty to be appealed after he literally admitted that he did the shit on purpose, and he expected that he would have no repercussions for his actions. Like, again, I'm not being over dramatic, dude. This shit's funny to me. This man. Okay. Oh, did someone put laughing gas in my room? Because this shit should not be funny, but it is. Like, dead ass. Oh my god, I'm damn near. Oh, damn. I am literally 33 minutes into this show right now, and this is what's been going on. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, he literally expects the penalty to be appealed. Denny. Denny, I'm not calling you dumb. Well, actually, I called you small brain. Now, I'm not calling you, I don't want to call you dumb, but like, when you do shit like that, it makes me start to question a lot of the things that go inside your head. I think this podcast has really made Denny Hamlin go off the deep end. And I think just because he has a show where he can speak his mind, right? Because he has a media outlet that allows him to do so, he automatically thinks that whatever he says goes, and a lot of people won't think he's dumb for it. Newsflash, that aged well. Anyways, that is my whole Denny Hamlin rant. Boy. Man, I took up some time with my laughter because this shit, I find it comical, actually. Like, a lot of people have their different senses of humor, but say what you want. I actually found it really, really funny. Say what you want. Anyways, let's get into some penalty appeals, as I was kind of leading into when I talked about the attempt for Denny Hamlin to win his appeal. Now, let's talk about, now, let's go back to the Phoenix penalties for a second. As we are all aware by now, and it's been known for about a week now that Hendrick Motorsports won their appeal regards to the hood louvers, except for technically they did, but I mean it didn't matter in the long run considering the fact that they got their points back. So, however, we'll talk about Hendrick Motorsports later because they have a new penalty that came up. And we will also talk about the drivers' meeting that apparently did not take place. So, yeah. But another team that was actually involved, because there was technically two teams involved in that penalty, and that was Colleague Racing and the number 31 car of Justin Haley. Now, their situation, they didn't have both hood louvers taken. They actually had one of the two hood louvers taken out and taken back to the R&D center, and they were actually penalized as well. It even set Justin Haley back to the negatives. Well, earlier this week, they set to do their appeal because Hendrick Motorsports did theirs the week before, and Colleague Racing had to wait another week until they could do their appeal. And a shocker, because pretty much that 31 team pretty much got the same exact penalty as Hendrick Motorsports. Their appeal was denied. And pretty much every single NASCAR fan, whether it was YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or any other piece of like any piece of social media platform, did not take this news lightly. And I could see why they're upset. Yes. From an outsider's... Now, let's just say, you as a viewer, let's think hypothetically for a second. Let's say you are a completely new fan of NASCAR. You kind of get the basic understanding of the sport, but you don't really know necessarily the ins and outs. But let's say you look at this penalty, you look at the teams who are involved, you look at the results of the appeals, and you think to yourself, wait, what? How is that fair? They got penalized for the same thing and tried to appeal their penalty, so how come they get their points back, but the other team doesn't? Yeah, I get it. From an outsider standpoint, it definitely looks very, very confusing. However, from what I understand, and I have some pretty reliable sources in the industry, I wouldn't say they're upper hand guys. I'm not bloating. I'm not saying that they're like Bob Hockeris or Adam Stern or anyone like that. I'm not saying that, but from what I understand is that Colleague Racing actually used that hood louver in a Phoenix either practice or qualifying session, and Hendrick Motorsports didn't use theirs at all. The officials took them away based off of reasonable suspicion. Then again, we have pre-race inspection for a reason. How come they didn't notice it before that 31 car went out on track to do its thing? Like, there's so many pieces to the puzzle to this situation that I'm actually not getting here. Well, actually, I do get majority of it, but at the same time, it's just kind of baffles me a little bit because, in my opinion, because it's not like they actually used it in a race. Because, well, in my opinion, I don't think it really changed the 31's performance at all. Not saying the 31 is a sucky ride by any means necessary, but it's not like they were running top 5, top 10 majority of that race, so I don't see why it's, I don't see why it's really that big of a issue, to be honest with you. But Yeah, and let's go back to social media for a second. A lot of people, when they saw this news, they automatically thought of favoritism and how Hendrick Motorsports gets completely out of the woods, and they every time when they're penalized, and they think they pay NASCAR off to remove the penalties. Now, I'm not gonna go say that's what exactly happens, and if you ask me, that's just a bit outlandish. But I will say it is kind of weird how Collie gets the same exact penalty, same exact circumstances, and their appeal doesn't go. Regardless if that hood louver was on track or not, it's just kind of ridiculous. It's just kind of ridiculous. And if you think NASCAR actually, because what a lot of people are actually forgetting is that the appeal board directors aren't actually NASCAR. NASCAR actually did not like the idea of Hendrick Motorsports winning their appeal. And I'm sure they hated the idea of colleague racing not getting their points back either. And like me and many people thought, okay, well, give if you're going to give colleague if well not colleague racing, if you're going to give Hendrick Motorsports back their points, you better give colleague racing and Justin Haley back his points. And as we know, that did not happen. So that's just a bit kind of sucky, if you ask me. And I really do feel bad for Justin Haley. And it has nothing to do with performance. It has to do with just, being in a situation that I don't even know he can really crawl out of. I don't really think he's going to necessarily be playoff eligible. I mean, he would have to win to get in, but it's not the greatest thing. Not the greatest thing for him. But remember when I said Hendrick Motorsports gets out of the woods free and gets no punishments whatsoever? Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I know. That's me being overdramatic. Now, what happened this time? Well, once again, 2 Hendrick Motorsports cars were penalized. Yesterday afternoon, it was announced that the 24 car of William Byron and the 48 car of Alex Bowman, aka the Cup Series points leader, were penalized and docked 60 drivers' points and and lost 5 playoff points as well after modifications to the greenhouse. Now, a lot of race fans who are still new to the sport are wondering, what the hell is a greenhouse? Or are they talking about? Normally, now to an outsider standpoint, when you think of greenhouse, you think of a house full of plants that are being taken care of, right? But the greenhouse on the race car is actually the top of the roof and some bits of the roll cage. NASCAR actually took both of those cars after Richmond and took them to the R&D center. Now, normally when you take cars to the R&D center, 99.9% of the time, it doesn't result in well, actually, I should say 85% of the time, it doesn't necessarily result in a penalty. You may get like a warning and just say, hey, don't do that again, this, and that. They might notice something that says, hey, just be mindful of that, But this time was different. And in my opinion, and I'm not going to go and speculate. Well, actually, I don't really consider it my opinion, but I think this was NASCAR's way of saying F you back to Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah, because like I said, they were not happy about the whole Hendrick Motorsports winning the appeal thing. And to be honest, I honestly can't blame them. Now, I'm not saying that they did this on purpose. Now, if Hendrick Motorsports did actually do something to the greenhouse, now I don't know what specific parts. I'm sure they were announced, but I don't know what specific parts that they modified that were involved with this penalty. Now, if there were, I would say that the penalty is completely warranted. Now, if it's against the rule book, then don't do it. I mean, that's literally common sense, people. I mean, come on now. But I want to say it's poetic justice, probably. I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, obviously, NASCAR didn't do it just for the sake of it, but, I mean, let's be real, people. We have seen crazier things happen in this sport. So, yeah. I think that pretty much covers every single appeal and penalty of every single part of this week. Yeah, penalties, appeals, memes, and some more penalties. All right, so but I do want to talk. But this is our last topic before we really get into the nitty gritty of the Cup Series weekend. And it's about NASCAR team members and negotiations. Once again, it looks like it's hit a new rock bottom because NASCAR during this week was supposed to have a periodic meeting each year with teams, and to our surprise, every single Cup Series team did not, and I repeat, did not show up to this team meeting. What are negotiations exactly? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are entering a new part of. We are entering the year where the TV contracts for 2025 and beyond will be finalized. We will probably know by the end of the year on who is going to broadcast NASCAR races from there on out. As this current TV deal, which currently runs with Fox Sports and NBC, will go through the 2024 season, and after that, we may have to look for races elsewhere. Now, why didn't team members show up? Well, it's quite simple. Team members are obviously not happy with some of the revenue that they are getting back. And hell, even last year it was reported that Hendrick Motorsports reported that they were actually losing money. Yeah, one of the top teams, probably the top team in the NASCAR Cup Series as of right now, is losing money. Now, it's not something to do with sponsorship. It's not something to do with, anything like that. They're not really, I wouldn't say they're going out the deep end, but they're losing money due to these negotiations. Now, there have been times where some negotiations went well, and with the RTA and stuff like that. But, however, teams want more money than they're hoping for. And I can't necessarily blame them because we are entering a very dangerous time. Now, with these type of topics, the first thing that everyone likes to talk about is a potential split. Now, for many new motorsports fans out there, you've probably been hearing this for like the past few months now, and you might be wondering, what exactly is a motorsports split? Well, back in the 1990s, CART and IRL had their split, and let's just say American open wheel racing has not been the same since, as it's gone back to IndyCar. I don't think many people understand that if a split were to happen, it would literally kill stock car racing in the United States as we know it. NASCAR as we would know it would no longer be a thing. There may be some stock car divisions, but it would literally not hold up to the magnitude that the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing had. Now, I've been asked a lot, do I think a split is going to happen? No. I think NASCAR is going to try to do everything they can, which I understand negotiations right now are not at the best right now. They are not at where they needed to be. Teams need more. They want more money. It's always about the money. It's all about the money, money, money. Yeah, call me cringe for that. But they're going to try to do everything they can to make sure a split does not happen. And if it does, then I don't know what would happen. It would literally kill stock car racing, as I mentioned. I don't know, what kind of league, because some of the tracks on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule is owned by NASCAR. They are owned by NASCAR, and some of the other tracks out there are owned by major companies like SMI, for example. Team like SMI owns tracks like Bristol, Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, Nashville. Um, they recently bought Dover, along with Nashville as well, I should say. Um, they own Sonoma, they own Texas, that god awful place. They own like a good majority of tracks on the NASCAR schedule, and it quite frankly, you know, makes me upset that a split is even talked about. Now, like I said, I don't think a split is going to happen, but I will say that negotiations are not in a good place right now, and um, I don't know what's gonna happen within the next few months. Hopefully, we get this negotiation contract. Hopefully we get this negotiation down and out of the way. Um, you know, get some of the revenue that the teams have been wanting, and hope with this new TV deal, hopefully, and it's not been a good time for negotiations in NASCAR as we know. It's not been a good time, but hopefully we get it fixed when it matters most. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude the weekly news segment. Now let's talk about this weekend's races at Bristol Dirt. This race, in my opinion, I wish I could really have more to say. Now, I'm not saying that now I remember when Bristol Dirt was first announced. It was late 2020, and I remember looking on my phone saying NASCAR will return to dirt for the first time in over 50 years. And I thought to myself, "Holy cow, this is going to be an amazing event. This is going to be historical. This will be the first ever time that I will see um cup cars on dirt in my lifetime. Yeah, I've seen truck series on Eldora, but then again, not cup cars, for example. Um, what am I talking about? Anyways, um, it's um, it's really. If you hear laughter in the background, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. It's nothing. It's just my family members. It's Easter weekend, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you guys understand. But no. I thought the idea was cool of it at the time, and then I saw the 2021 race, and I saw what kind of a mess it was with dust getting kicked up in the air. And then they brought in some new compound for like the year after, and actually it was a better showing, and fantastic finish. Between Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, coming down to the line, and and eventually wrecking, and Kyle Busch getting his final one with Joe Gibbs Racing. But there has been one constant problem, and it's already happening this weekend. Every single Bristol Dirt race so far has been affected by weather. Again, this race has been in the month of April so far. Late March, early April. It's spring. It's the rainy season. It typically rains a lot down south. That's when storms start to pick up. Recently storms in the south have been bad. Have you seen what's been going on in Mississippi? Mississippi, Alabama, a little bit of Arkansas. It's been truly bad down there. I can't really say it's a total shock. We've known this. Hell, it's the rainy season, dude. You know what they say, when April showers bring May flowers. But one thing that has been affected is that weekend events. Like, the Cup Series race had to be pushed. Like, the inaugural dirt race at Bristol had to be postponed to a Monday. Thank God I was on spring break that year and I was able to watch it. But, like, it was literally I would say a cluster F of a race. It was literally, I mean, like, well, I wouldn't say a cluster F of the race, but like, you know, the fact that weather has been affecting this, even the truck series races too. Like, even today, no practice or qualifying for these cars and trucks. So, and according to a recent tweet, as I'm reading right now, by Bob Hockris, is that um, the first event tomorrow will be going straight into the heat races for the truck series. And if that track isn't really drying up to standards, if the dirt isn't really dried out, we could have a repeat of what the dirt heat races at Bristol were like, where mud got kicked up, it covered the grills, covered the windshields. You couldn't see out the front. It could literally be an exact repeat of that, and we don't want that. Like this is, it's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Like, and there's a good chance that we may have a cup double cup truck cup series doubleheader on Sunday because it's expected to rain even more in Bristol. So now you got to ask yourself: is this really SMI's like is this race actually like really worth it? Like, listen, I hate rain delays as much as the next person. Don't get me wrong, but like there comes a point to where enough's enough and you have to like not deal with this anymore. It wouldn't shock me. And even one of the Bristol Motor Speedway executives have said, that they don't know what they're going to do for 2024. Now, I'm not saying that they won't return to Bristol Dirt because in years past, well, the past few years, they have announced that, oh, well, guess what? They will be back on dirt next year for 2023. If we don't get some sort of announcement like that during the race, then really kind of start to question if we're going to return, if we're going to return to Bristol Dirt at all. Which, in my opinion, wouldn't be the biggest loss that NASCAR's ever had. I've seen a lot of people who have really criticize this track and when like well not necessarily criticize the track but criticize the idea of it happening. Now, I understand why Bristol Dirt happened because the spring Bristol race has, let's be real, beginning lackluster everything. Right? It wasn't compare it to the Bristol night race. I mean, let's be real. What race gets more turnout? I'll give you time to figure that one out. But it's um it's not fun to see, this getting rained out all the time. Either this is what's either going to happen. If you want to keep the Bristol Dirt Race, that's fine, but you're going to have to move it to like an early summer date. If you want like the driest conditions possible, you will move it to like a late May, early June date. Like, but then again, that's gonna be kind of time consuming considering the fact that if you do that, that's even less time for them to dig up the dirt and clear it up so they can get the concrete ready for the Bristol Night Race. So I mean, this is literally, it can work, but at the same time, it can't. If you want me to be really specific with you guys, like it can work, but it can't. So I don't know what the future of the Bristol Dirt Race is going to be like. So, but without further ado, let's get into um, weekend picks, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Truck Series race at Bristol Dirt. I forgot the name of the race completely. Don't you know? Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me, ladies and gentlemen. But for this race, I kind of didn't really have to think hard about it, but he is the defending winner of the race, so I do have him going back to back wins. So I think Ben Rhodes will hold off his title as winner of the Bristol Dirt race. That is my pick for the truck race. Now let's get into the Cup Series race. Obviously, this race is going to be won by some dirt guy, if not someone who is really tame dirt. Now, I didn't have to look far when it comes to dirt guys. There were three in my head that popped up, and I picked one. And I already have it picked one. Now, this might be an oddball pick, but at the same time, he nearly won, but pulled off the goofy, and it did not work for him in his favor or the other driver's favor. Maybe an oddball pick, and I'm going to go bold with this pick right here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go. Actually, you know what? Screw the bold pick. I'm not going to do it just for my own sake. I think it's a bad idea. I'm starting to rethink my decision, but no, this guy who I'm picking has had a decent start to the year, and he made a goofy in his interview last week after accusing a driver of doing something even though he didn't. And he has a good dirt background, and I think he will get his first win of the year. I am picking Christopher Bell to win the Bristol Dirt race. I think Bell is on a solid start to the year. He's had multiple top fives and multiple top tens, but it's only a matter of time before he really gets in the victory lane, and I think Christopher Bell is going to do just that, and he will pick up his first win of the year and lock himself into the playoffs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this week's episode 10, and we have reached the new milestone, ladies and gentlemen, the first episode that has been over an hour. Like, it has been over an hour in this episode. So, yeah, what a milestone. Hope for longer episodes like this, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was the Checkers or Wreckers podcast. I am your host, Carl Leonard, and I will see you guys next time.